Good evening, everybody. I call to order the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. The time is 7:33. Present in the Great Hall, we have a quorum of the Select Board. Mr. Lugito is here. Vice Chair Deborah Roberts. Mr. McCrisky is here. Town Manager Tom Coulter is here as well. We have only one absence. Scott Carrera won't be able to make it tonight. For all who are able, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. So we're going to begin the evening with citizens' comments. Are there any comments from the citizens? Yes. Ms. Walsh.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. I think you sensed my disappointment at the closing of the warrant when Article 12 was not included. And I understand that you rely on the director and the Council on Aging, but I represent the 7,800 seniors in Stoughton. We're more than a quarter of the population. We own, according to the master plan, 15% of the homes. So we're not freeloaders. We pay property taxes. I'm not asking for a new senior center. I'm asking for the current one to be expanded. The town owns adequate property around the current senior center to double its size. One of the arguments I heard was we're not on the capital plan. So what I'd like to know is, how do I get us on the capital plan? And that's my question. I mean, I guess I could go, well, not me, but a friend of seniors could easily collect 10 signatures to get the article on the warrant for the annual. But I want to know, I want to do this step by step, but I want you to understand the senior center is actually going downhill. It's offering fewer programs than it has in the past. Instead of 5 days a week lunches, only 3. Instead of a weekly movie, 0. Instead of senior suppers, forget it. Instead of having people come in at tax time and help seniors with their tax returns, I'm not just talking about the property tax circuit breaker. I'm talking, we used to have professionals come in and guide to those seniors with some income through the process. So I'm unhappy with the way things are going, and I may not live to see an expanded senior center, but there are seniors coming behind me. Some of them are relatives. And so how do we get on the capital plan? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you very much.
May I try to be helpful here?
Yeah, Mr. Coulter.
I'd be happy to answer that for Cynthia. The most direct way is to speak to the gentleman to your left, Mr. Tisdale, who manages the capital plan. It was made clear to us, Cynthia, a few years ago, that the town required a very formal process for planning long-term capital projects. We're too close to our debt limit, so we have to be very careful in what gains momentum and what doesn't. So we developed a capital plan. It's a 5-year capital plan that Mr. Tisdale does an extraordinary job of managing. The first step is to get on the plan, which is a simple request, to get added to the capital plan. But before we spend money on a feasibility study, there has to be consensus among the stakeholders. In this case, it would be the staff of the COA. It would be the board of the COA. Perhaps it's a survey from the residents as to what their priorities are. Is their priority a police station? Is their priority a COA addition? there's only limited funds, as you well know from all your years in public service. So we need a process. The process starts with getting it on the plan with a rough estimate. And Mr. Gito provided that rough estimate. I think it was $500,000 for the addition. That's good enough for the beginning of the process. Then you need to go out and build consensus among key stakeholder groups, primarily seniors. The list you just provided of where it's not successful is in programming. None of them seem related to the size of the building. So we just need to build consensus. For an idea to come out of left field when there was no meetings, no consensus building, no feedback, no survey, imagine if we responded to every one of them, because we get a couple a month of people who have got an idea or a wish or a suggestion. So it goes on the plan, step one. There are a series of public meetings among stakeholder groups to see if there's consensus on what needs to be done. And then when there is consensus, then you have to go before town meeting to see if there is money available to do a feasibility study on the cost of the project. Now, just by way of example, the town meeting approved a $300,000 expenditure for a feasibility study for a new police station. The quote came in twice what we budgeted, twice what we expected. We cannot afford, in my tenure in this town, perhaps even in your own, to build a new police station under our current debt structure. We can't afford to do it. So we have to go back to the drawing board, but the $300,000 is spent. And that became an article without the type of consensus building that I just described. And that $300,000 was spent on a police station without a single public meeting determining whether we really need or whether we want a police station. What Mark and I have to deal with every day with Biz is the financial realities of our town. We're in really good structural financial shape right now, but we've got limitations on how much money we can borrow within the budget, and we've got constraints through DOR as to what we can spend in excluded debt. And so as we field the ideas, starting with getting in the capital plan, we then build consensus in the community so that we can determine what the community wants versus what others in the community want. All the stakeholders are important. The seniors are particularly important. But we have to go through that process. It can't just be somebody's idea and all of a sudden it comes to town meeting to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a feasibility study, i.e. the $300,000 for police station. I don't remember one public information meeting about the need for a police station. It was somebody's idea, it gained momentum, and town meeting spent $300,000 on a feasibility study that we can't afford. That's the process. Perhaps Mark could add more to that.
Mr. Coulter,
Yes.
if you don't mind, I'm just going to sort of also just bring
you.
it back to the sort of the
I appreciate
beginning of it again. This as a project is something that I see value in. I think that it's important to get it on the capital plan and do this methodically and make sure that we do all of the things Mr. Coulter mentioned, where we've got to, I mean, at the very least, identify it as a priority, compare it against other priorities, and decide where it goes in that field, and then talk about how we finance it and how we cover those things. And it's just something that just takes a little bit of time, but it's absolutely on our to-do list, and we're going to be moving forward with trying to figure those things out. Ms. Walsh.
When it comes to building consensus, any meeting, I mean, I don't think you have any idea how extraordinary it is that I'm here, because I don't drive, so I have to arrange transportation, and I can't do that the same day, and then one of you is kind enough to usually bring me home, because going to the meeting and back is a $50 cab ride. Most seniors don't have that kind of money. So if you're going to have any kind of public meeting, it has to be during the day, because a lot of seniors who still drive do not drive after dark. And it also, you need to make sure that it's, a lot of seniors, believe it or not, are intimidated by town hall. So if it was at the senior center, I think they'd feel more comfortable. And refreshments might be nice. Building a consensus among seniors is going to be more difficult than the general public because we aren't the general public. We have significant issues, especially around health and disability. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for your comments. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to speak? Yes, Ms. Morris.
It's regarding the history of the abandoned buildings in the town. I brought it up to a couple people in leadership. I'm wondering if there is a way when people come in and buy businesses in this town, that there's some kind of clause or stipulation that if you're gonna buy a business, there has to be a plan that you're gonna actually build it and get it done. And if for some reason the business person cannot get it done, like in a good amount of time, is there a way that they can keep up their land and everything else that they bought? Just because the aesthetics of the town, I'm thinking of the theater, a couple of the businesses like Mermax. It's just nothing's being done with it. It looks horrible in the town. People driving through, I've had people comment, the town looks horrible, up that whole strip like where Mermax is. So I'm wondering if because I know other towns have something like that, some kind of stipulation or clause. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, I know that exists in Arlington, probably a couple of other towns that impose, I think, daily fines for vacant storefronts, especially. Kind of give you 6 months to get somebody in there, and if you can't, then they have to pay the town in fines. So I will simply ask that the town manager look into that question, see if there's something we want to explore.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, if there's any other comments from the members of the public. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the select board. Mr. Gito, do you have any comments tonight?
Yes, I do. I was driving home the other evening and saw a young woman, probably a child, maybe 10, 12, 15, something like that, in a motorized wheelchair, driving down the side of Morton Street, on the side where there is a sidewalk. And I said, well, that's kind of strange. And then I looked at the sidewalk, and it appears as though the sidewalk isn't able to accept that kind of a vehicle. I'm not sure of that, so I think it might be helpful to take a peek at that. So I turned the corner, that's coming up from the square, and went up Plain Street, because that's the way I get home, and noticed that in almost the middle of the sidewalk on Plain Street was the place where all the telephone poles are. And I said to myself, hard to believe that anybody in a similar situation would be able to go up that street. I say that because I think it's kind of important to think about how we are planning to get people around the town. We have a very good article into town meeting to deal with ADA compliance, but we've got a whole set of issues that perhaps we're not looking at. Now, my old eyes may not see things right, and I'm not trying to cast stones, but I think that it would be important to take a peek at that issue and figure out how we're going to deal with it. I also noticed that we had a draft water policy to look at, which I think is wonderful. I'd like to mention one piece of that, which is that that there is embedded in that a requirement that if people don't have new water meters or compliant water meters, it's going to cost them $250 a quarter. That's $1,000 a year by my estimate to have their water bill dealt with. And in my discussions with the water superintendent, he said that most of the meters were in, aside from a few people who were holdouts that didn't want to have people come into their house. I guess that's fine. They can do that. $1,000 a year is a pretty steep amount to pay for water for residential property. Just would like to mention that because I guess we're going to be talking about that in a few weeks. But maybe a little bit of a warning might be helpful. I'm resisting talking about a conversation that occurred just a while ago. I am not, and I want to stress this, I am not just a citizen in the town. When the town meeting warrant opens, town meeting selectmen are able to put articles in. I'll say no more about that, but I took a little bit of concern about being considered, just any old citizen. So that's my only comment on that. I won't go any further.
Thank you, Mr. Gito. Vice Chair Roberts, do you have any comments tonight?
No, sir. No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. McCrisky? I have no comments either. Mr. Town Manager, do you have any comments for this evening?
A couple of brief comments, Mr. Chairman. Good news, the 300th Committee has announced they've received 2 donations in the past 2 weeks. One from Maltby and Company. I believe they're a tree service company. Very generous donation of $5,000. And another one from Abington Bank, excuse me, of $1,500. That's real money, and we want to thank those corporate sponsors, and we'll be reaching out to more corporate sponsors to see if they will be as active as these 2 outstanding corporate citizens. The second thing I'd like to comment on, a little more information on the water meters that Lou provided. We've got approximately 9,000 customers. We've got only 150 who have not signed up to the new meters, which allow us to do the reading from the office, which allows us to get in front of water leaks and the like. Our hope is that we can appeal to those folks. We can make provisions for entering their home that make them comfortable, but it does cost us additional money to have to go out there and do manual readings if we can't get them online, and we won't be able to protect them should they have a catastrophic underground water leak. We won't know until we do that reading. So if they do sign up to the new meters, we can see it real time that day if there's an underground leak, and we can get out in front of it. So we strongly encourage people. We're sending certified letters to all of them. We're calling them. And we're hoping and they are responding, by the way. The list is getting smaller and smaller. But I'd like to thank Mr. Gito for raising that issue.
Thank you very much. So the next item on our agenda is a series of public hearings, but they're scheduled to start at 8 o'clock, and we have a couple more minutes before we get there. To maybe just chew up a little bit of time, I'm going to move item number 8, which is the traffic study improvements on Pine Street at North School Drive, forward.
All right. As Craig is getting the plan ready to show the public, I'll just do a brief intro. Mark Tisdale, Town Engineer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for taking us out of order. This should be relatively quick, I think. For years now, we've had issues, complaints from several stakeholders in the Pine Street, Daw Drive intersection area, complaining about the speed of vehicles in that corridor, and about the safety of pedestrians crossing that intersection, getting to the school. A lot of school children cross that intersection to get to the school down the North School Drive. I'll hand it over to Craig. Craig's got the details. Craig has done a lot of work on this project, so I don't want to steal his thunder because he's really done a lot of work on this. I'll hand it over to you, Craig.
Thank you and good evening. We're here tonight, as Mark had said, due to a lot of outcry that we've heard from stakeholders in the area. The intersection that we're talking about is on Pine Street at the intersection of North School Drive, so that's the exit from the Daw School, and DD Ave is right in that vicinity. It doesn't line up perfectly at 90 degrees. DD Ave is a little bit offset. And that geometry makes the intersection a little bit awkward. There's been, reports of people using excessive speed through that corridor. There is a four-way stop sign there, but because of the awkward geometry, the stop signs are not at conventional locations where you would expect to see your stop signs located, and that's due to the lack of curbing and other facilities that we restrict where we can place signs in that area. As a result, we see a lot of people kind of rolling through that intersection, not really obeying the stop sign. So we think that's due to a number of items, poor geometry, lack of visibility, and at times there's low volume of traffic that comes out of North School Drive when school's not in session, and DD Ave's not a high volume roadway either. So all those things factored in. We've heard a lot of outcry from local residents wanting some improvements in that area. In 2023, the engineering department, along with the Old Colony Planning Council, performed a road safety audit of the entire Pine Street corridor and studied this intersection at that point in time. That road safety audit identified a number of those deficiencies that I just listed, and recommended some of the improvements that you see on the plan in front of you. So basically what we want to do is install new curbing at the intersection and ADA accessible ramps. Right now, there's a crosswalk that goes diagonally across the intersection. When we have pedestrian crossings, we always want the shortest pathway across the traveled way. That's the safest pathway for people to cross the intersection. So this new plan in front of you corrects that. We'll be putting in ADA accessible ramps at 90 degrees, the shortest distance across the intersection. In addition to that, we're going to install solar-powered flashing stop signs on the Pine Street approach from either direction. So that's the most traveled way. Those will be flashing and be more visible. We'll install new stop signs on the intersecting approaches in the proper locations to improve the visibility of those particular stop signs. In addition, We're also looking to designate this portion of Pine Street as a school safety zone. So that would reduce the speed limit in this area down to 20 miles per hour. We'll have signs to identify the school zone, and there'll be speed feedback, radar speed feedback signs, along with the school safety zone signage as well. We think that the plan in front of you will greatly improve the situation that is been observed over the past few years, and particularly since this is one of the exits from one of our elementary schools, we feel it's very important to get this implemented. We're looking for a vote from the board tonight to endorse the school zone in this area and to have the improvements shown on the plan installed. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from members of the board? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'd move that we designate this area as a school zone and implement the work to be done shown on the plan.
Perfect. Is there a second? Second. See. Motion was made by Mr. Gito, seconded by Vice Chair Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? As unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job, Craig.
And timing was great because it's exactly 8 o'clock, and we can move on to these public hearings. Both are continuations, as is our practice. The Vice Chair of the Select Board will oversee this portion of the meeting, make all comments through her, and just consider her the acting chair for the purposes of this meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we get started, I wanted to take roll call. I know our attorney, Chaplin, is here, but is Animal Control Officer Carlos here? I see you in the back. Okay, great. So I move we resume the public hearing. Oh, let me put my glasses. That is a continuation of September 2nd, 2025, pursuant of Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 157, to hear and consider a request dated June 26, 2025, for a dangerous dog hearing filed by the Stoughton Animal Control Officer concerning a dog owned by Francis Lee.
Second.
Motion made and is second. All in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. McCrisky, do I get a yay, nay, or abstention from you?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
That is to open,
Yes.
continue. Okay, so unanimous decision. And with that, Attorney Chaplin, can you take the lead, please?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Pleasure to be back here. See a lot of familiar faces. Obviously, the board is very familiar with these types of hearings. Is the microphone not working? Should I bring it closer? Is that better? So I'll start over. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. It's great to be back here. I see a lot of familiar faces. I know the board's familiar with these types of hearings. For anybody that might be joining on television or anybody who might be here for the first time, it's a very high level. State statute mandates that anytime there's a complaint regarding a dog, it could be a dog bite, it could be dog with nuisance behavior, that is a matter that comes before the board in a quasi-adjudicatory proceeding. And so the board actually hears testimony much like if we were in court. So we've spent time at the last two hearings doing just that. And just so people understand where we are in the proceedings. We had heard from the owner of the dog. We had heard from the parents of the victim. The victim in this case was a minor child. And the board wished to continue the hearing to have an opportunity to hear from the animal control officer. I see that ACO Carlos is here, so I would ask her to step forward. I note that we did receive a report, a supplemental report from ACO Carlos. It was dated yesterday, and there was an initial report from August as well. I believe it, and both those reports are in the record before the board. So, nice to see you again. I'm going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing?
I do.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Michelle Carlos?
And you're employed by the town of Stoughton as the animal control officer?
Correct.
And I've read your report. I'm sure the board has as well, but could you please summarize your investigative process in this matter and anything else that you
Of
think is
course.
important for the board?
So, I wrote the follow-up statement. I was told that at the last hearing, there were some other incidences that may have happened, but as far as my department, I did not have any of those recorded because they were never reported to me. So the only incident I have on file is the one that happened on June 9th.
And do you have any independent recollection of any other concerns or reports regarding this dog at any other time?
No, nope, this was the first incident that has been reported to me.
And just for the record, I saw that you had made some comments relative to the injuries in this particular case and where that falls on the Dunbar bite scale. Can you tell
Yes,
the board
so on the Dunbar bite scale, you can kind of grade a dog bite or attack. And I didn't see the wound myself, but looking at the pictures, it would qualify as a level 2, which is skin contact by teeth, but no skin puncture. However, maybe skin nicks less than 1/10 of an inch deep, and slight bleeding, which she did have, caused by forward lateral movement or teeth against the skin, but there were no vertebral punctures that I could see in the pictures that were provided.
And just for completeness of the record, the Dunbar bite scale goes from what level to what level? What's the lowest, what's the highest?
The lowest is level 1, and that's just like your aggressive barking, stuff like that. And then level 6 is death of a victim.
And I noticed that in your report, you did make both reports, the initial report and the supplemental report, you made recommendations, a muzzling order, among
Yep.
other things. Could you explain to the board how you arrived at that recommendation and if you've learned anything new at this point that would change your
So
mind?
whenever a dog bites or anything like that, that's my first go-to, is always placing a muzzle order in the interim before we have one of these hearings. So I went ahead and did that. There was a miscommunication at one point. Mrs. DeMott did report to me that the dog wasn't being muzzled when in the yard, so I reached out to Mrs. Lee, to which it was just truly a miscommunication, and from that point forward, she was having the dog muzzled when it was outside, regardless if it was in his own yard or not. And I know she had the fencing installed, and she was, before I even spoke to her, she was already taking all the precautions that she felt she needed to make her neighbor feel safe.
And am I correct that it's your recommendation that the muzzle order continue to be in place going forward?
Yes. I think I wrote in my first statement that once the fencing was in place, they could take him outside with the muzzle on, make sure all the gates were secured, and then if they wanted, just for quality of life for the dog, because he likes to play fetch, once they realized all the gates were secured, then they could take the muzzle off so he can play fetch and continue to have that quality of life. But when off the property, the dog is to always be muzzled.
And that in addition to the fencing, is there any, there's fencing, there's muzzling, is there any other recommendation that I'm missing?
I did, in the last one, the only other recommendation I would have would be maybe consistent training with a professional with recall and reactivity to dogs that have a high chase rate like that, or a prey drive, but that's, most dogs have that.
That's all the questions that I have. Do any of the board members have questions?
A couple of questions. Actually, just one. I was curious to know, it might have been your initial report, and I apologize. It's been
That's
a couple
okay.
of weeks since I read it last. But I wanted to, if you don't mind refreshing my memory, have you had interaction with the dog?
Yes. So I initially went out and I placed the quarantine. They weren't home, so I kind of spoke to them through the Ring camera, let them know that the quarantine was happening and I'll be back in 10 days, but I needed to actually see him, touch him, everything. And I did interact with the dog, and as a stranger in uniform, he was very friendly, excited to see me, had no negative reaction whatsoever.
And in your experience, I just want to point out, I'm not looking for any particular answer. I'm really curious about your own observations. But in this case, as an animal control officer, do you ever find that dog behavior can be inconsistent, so they could be friendly one day and troubling another one, not just like a bad temperament, but like dangerous another day?
I think it has to do with the situation. So say if a dog was actually being provoked, yes, it can change behaviors. But this was an unprovoked attack, but in the same light, it was just a natural instinct, a dog getting startled, seeing something, and chasing. Even the most well-behaved dog will do that some days. So I wouldn't deem the dog dangerous because of this incident, solely on this incident. And like I said, I personally don't have a track record of anything else happening, even if it did. It was never reported to me.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's ever like a Jekyll and Hyde, sort of situation.
Yeah, I
where-
mean, there are certain breeds that can possess that, but that's hard to prove without
Of course. I was,
brain scan or an autopsy.
yeah, to the extent that I can sort of lean on your expertise,
Yeah.
it's helpful, so I appreciate that. So I think that's the only question I have. Those are the only questions I have. Thank you very much for
course.
helping us.
Thank you.
Do any of the other board members have questions?
Yes, I do, Officer Carlos. At our last meeting, when we talked about the behavior of a dog that has tasted blood, then that is a propensity for them to want to bite again. In your experience, in your expert opinion, is that a true statement or true assumption?
I wouldn't say taste and blood unless you have a dog that's getting trained to specifically do something like that illegally. But not in this case, not with Chase. He's a family dog. He's gone through training. He goes to daycare. It was simply just some dogs have stronger prey drive than others, and he has a strong one. So he was startled, saw something, and then he chased. And it's very unfortunate, but I have to set myself aside from the feelings and the trauma of it because it was scary, and I feel terrible for the little girl. But looking at the facts that I have and everything, it was just simply bad timing. And had she stood still and not been afraid, which most people run because they're afraid, he might have not pursued her as much as he did. But his instinct was to stop the running object to figure out what it was.
Thank you. And Officer Carlos, the second question I had, can you provide a little more detail or maybe examples on additional training or ongoing training? What does that mean exactly?
So there are specific trainers that actually work specifically with reactivity or for recall, or dogs that have been in situations like this before. And they know the tips and tricks to kind of snap the dog out of it and listen to the owner so it stops it in its tracks from continuing on that prey drive.
Thank you very much, Officer. Those are the only two questions I have.
Unless anybody else, I have one other one, but it's to our attorney. I want to make sure I'm understanding. I've done a couple of these, but I still want to just triple check here that I'm understanding this correctly. So we do have two things we've got to, well, one that we definitely have to vote on, and then potentially a second one, depending on the outcome of the first vote. The first is to determine whether the dog is a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog, or neither. And those phrases, nuisance dog and dangerous dog, are defined by statute. So it's not, this isn't like our sort of own judgment as to whether or not this dog is what we would call a dangerous dog or what we would call a nuisance dog, but as to whether or not it fits the definition under Mass General Law. Am I correct by that?
That's all absolutely correct, right? It's not the board's subjective feeling, it's the board, based upon the credible facts that have been found concerning the incident alleged, whether the board concludes as a matter of law based upon the statutory definition that this dog, based on the incident, either fits within the dangerousness definition or the nuisance definition, or neither of those. And then we proceed to the next step.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Just one
Oh,
comment.
Mr. Gito.
The when the doctor examined the daughter, he indicated also that there was no puncture in the, so just to confirm that she said she saw it, the doctor said basically the same thing. She did not see, or the doctor did not see a puncture, which would mean a biting or a breaking the skin, I suppose. But I don't know exactly how you define that. But the issue was whether or not there was a puncture, and I just wanted to highlight another point where that was evident.
Next. I'm sorry, just a minute. Next step in our process is to ask the dog owner if you have any questions, and then we'll ask the mother or the parent. Okay. I believe we're all set, unless the Mrs. Lee or the representative of Chase has questions to ask you or to ask the attorney. That would be our next steps, and then we'll go from there. So one thing at a time, yes. So what I would ask Mrs. Lee to step forward, or do you have any questions? If not, you do not have any questions to Officer Carlos or to the attorneys. Okay. Next would be, can you please pronounce your name as D-A-M-A-A. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Dama? Did you have any questions to ask the officer, Carlos, or the attorney?
I just wanted to clarify the bite wound, if I was able to.
Please come forward to the mic for clarification.
All right.
And that would be, and your spouse is welcome to attend.
Oh, I didn't know if she was staying, so I had him.
Yes, you can please come forward, state your name for the record and for the audience.
Okay. I am Rebecca Dama.
Excuse me. I'm Faisal Dama.
Okay. And just a reminder, you're still sworn from last time?
Yes, absolutely. No, I heard that there wasn't much of a puncture, but it did take 2.5 weeks for 2 of the sites to close. So there was a pretty deep puncture per the doctor's notes I even sent in. They didn't want to suture it because of infection risk. So I know that she wasn't able to look at it, but that's at least what I saw as well as the doctor saw.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dama. So let the record reflect that there was a puncture according to Mrs. Dahmer. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other witnesses wishing to give testimony in this matter? Doesn't sound like there are any more witnesses, so at this, oh, someone has stood up. Could you please state your name for the record?
Ashley Tremblay.
Please raise your right hand. Ashley Tremblay? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now in hearing? And could you please explain what you were in a position to observe that's relevant to these proceedings?
Sorry, I'm just getting up what I wrote. So I have been living in the neighborhood with the Lees and the Damas for the last 9 years. I have witnessed Chase. I have witnessed the Lees. So I'm here to express my full support for my neighbors and their dog in light of the recent claims made against them, as a parent of a young child and as a neighbor. First and foremost, I want to share that I have no prior knowledge of any other of these incidences that have been brought up. As our neighborhood is a small community, we all talk, we would all be made very much aware of this incidences. In fact, Fran would probably call me and text me and tell me. In fact, she did soon after the 9th incident to let me know, just out of precaution, to let us know that what their next steps were going to be doing. One with being the muzzle and the fence, out of safety for our own daughter, who has in fact been around Chase. Since then, I have personally witnessed the Lees walking around the neighborhood with Chase with a muzzle, going above and beyond along with their children. I also have footage on my Ring cameras to prove the muzzle is in fact being worn. So I am just here to basically show my support in showing that the Lees are being responsible dog owners and great members of our small community.
Thank you for your testimony. I don't have any questions for the witness. I don't know if any of the board members might have questions.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. You may step down.
Was that Mr. McCrisky motion? Yes. Motion to close. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What is the wish of the board?
Madam Vice Chair, I'd just like to read the definition of nuisance dog and dangerous dog.
Thank you,
So-
Mr. Chairman.
So we're clear on what it is specifically we're being asked to adjudicate,
Thank
decide
you.
in this case. So nuisance dog, this is Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 136A defines a nuisance dog as a dog that, 1, by excessive barking or other disturbance, is a source of annoyance to a sick person residing in the residency, or 2, by excessive barking, causing damage or other interference, a reasonable person would feel such behavior disruptive to one's quiet and peaceful enjoyment, or 3, has threatened or attacked livestock, a domestic animal, or person, but such threat or attack was not a grossly disproportionate reaction under the circumstances. Dangerous dog, under the same statute, is defined as a dog that is either one, without justification, attacks a person or domestic animal causing physical injury or death, or 2, behaves in a manner that a reasonable person would believe poses an unjustified imminent threat or physical injury, threat of physical injury or death to a person or to a domestic or owned animal. Given these definitions, I find that it's difficult to fit the circumstances of this case into the definition of a nuisance dog, and more closely aligns with a dangerous dog, a dog that without justification, as in it wasn't being teased or in any, there wasn't anything that would justify an attack, resulted in a person, attacks a person or domestic animal causing physical injury. And the depth of the bite wounds is not relevant here as far as the statute is concerned. There's a physical injury in this case, and definition I under dangerous dog seems to fit the facts of this case. I'll just read it again. A dangerous dog is a dog that either, or I'll just say that, without justification, attacks a person causing physical injury. So I move that we deem the dog dangerous in accordance with the statutory definition of a dangerous dog under Chapter 140, Section 136A.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. With that,
Next, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. So I'm not going to go through all of the various remedies that Mass General Law allows. I'll just speak for myself, that I believe the majority of the actions that the dog owner is already taking would be the ones I would recommend anyway. Fencing, leashing when out by, outdoors in an unfenced area, muzzling when leashed outside in the public. This one is probably more than I would have recommended, but the muzzling when in yard until gates are confirmed secure. I think it's perfectly reasonable. And the training for reactivity and recall, say within 6 months, also, is perhaps unnecessary. But those are things that I can see, I think are reasonable given the facts of this case. With the ones I really prefer more than anything else are the ones that are already being done. The fencing, leashing, muzzling when in the public, but not necessarily in a fenced yard.
Is that a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and make the motion. If people want to add to it, they can. But I move that the dog owner be required to fence the dog in their own backyard. That when they are walking in the public, that the dog is leashed. When it's leashed in the public, that it also be muzzled, and that the dog be muzzled in the backyard until gates are confirmed secure.
What was the last part of that? That the dog be muzzled even within the fenced area? Until what?
Until the gates of the fenced area are confirmed to be closed. So in this case, you go to let the dog out, you bring it outside with a muzzle, you check the gate, it's closed, you take the muzzle off. So that is my motion.
I'll second that motion with a question.
Yes.
The only item that you did not include was the additional training. So
Yeah, I didn't
everything
include the
else,
additional training. I think the measures that we already have here are sufficient to ensure that the dog's safe, and that nobody's harmed. I'm a fan of training, but it can. I don't know if that's necessarily that's not like a critical thing. I think that if it's in its own backyard, then the threat is no longer there.
Right.
And this would be just a nice thing to have. So I'm not going to really require that, but I would recommend it.
I asked the question because I was on the same, under the same assumption, so I was glad that you confirmed that. So thank you very much. So all in favor?
Oh, okay, just a second.
We have,
Aye.
a motion is on the table, it's been seconded. We had the discussion, and now on the vote. Mr. Gito.
No.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. McCrisky. Yes. And I vote yes as well. So thank you very much. Let's move right along to our next agenda item. That's agenda item number 5B. I move that we resume the public hearing for the continuation of September 2nd, 2025, National Grid and Verizon New England's joint poll petition, Willow Street, project number 310-76275. The presenter is Jared Akir. Is he online or in the audience?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So first, I will read the request into the record. A public hearing will be held, oh, we've already done because it's a continuation. Sorry about that. Jared, please proceed.
So I'm Jared with National Grid at 100 East Ashland Street in Brockton. Here representing these pole installs, and basically it's helping improve the safety and security for the primary wires that are going over Route 24. We're going to raise them up and make them more secure, and that requires the 2 new poles on either side on Willow Street and the supporting anchors.
So, Mr. Akir, the only thing that my question is, this is the engineering department recommended a change or an edit, and in the section where it says, wherefore it praised that after due notice and the address. So do you agree with that?
I'm sorry, could you
Okay.
repeat what's the proposed change?
Yes, I will. So please see the page that says petition for joint or identical pole locations. Under the section, it starts with to the Board of Selectmen, the first, and the next paragraph says Massachusetts Electric Company. The next says Willow Street. The next says location approximately as shown. The first sentence says wherefore. Do you see that paragraph?
So I don't have the full legal
Oh, that's
submission.
revised? Okay. Okay. Okay, so the new one, the original wording said Washington Street, and that's what he wanted corrected, and the new one says Willow Street. Willow Street is the correct, because you made, Gilda made the change. Is this correct?
Willow Street is the correct location, yes.
Okay, so original one was incorrect, that said Washington Street. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All righty. Do we have any other questions? I'm asking the board. No questions from the board? Okay.
No
I
questions.
ask the citizens, do you have any questions? No questions. Motion to close the public hearing. Second by Mr. Gito, made by Mr. McCrisky, second by Mr. Gito. All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. What is the wish of the board?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much. That ends our public hearings. Moving to our next agenda item, and I return the gavel to Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair. So moving right along, we'll get to the next order of business, item number 6. This is to consider and adopt an order for assessment of betterments for sewer line improvements regarding the Park Street Sewer Extension Project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Mark Tisdale, Town Engineer. With me tonight is Craig Horsfall, the Assistant Town Engineer. This presentation is to accept the order, to issue the order for betterments for the Park Street Sewer Project. It would not be wise to just get right into that, considering that this was a multi-million-dollar project that the town invested a lot of money and time into. It was very many people were very engaged with this project at the time, if you remember. So I think it warrants a little recap, a little summary of what the project was, a little summary of what we told town meeting was going to happen and what actually happened. Craig's getting some additional information out right now. I believe that's the actual betterment policy that Craig handed out that was voted on. Oh, the PowerPoint, excuse me. All right, so we'll get into the presentation. Gilda, do you have the presentation you can show the public?
This is the same as what was in the packet, is that correct?
Oh, it's the same? Okay.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
Okay, we'll get going now. All right, so slide 2, Gilda, if you want to try to get that view up. If you can scroll, okay. So the first slide is the project schedule. Just a recap of what we went through. This project took many years to get started and completed for many good reasons. We'll get into that now. If you remember, in 2019, we had a design article at town meeting for $800,000. We moved forward with the design, completed the design, and then the following year at town meeting for 2020, we had a $7.5 million article based on our construction estimate to get the project constructed. In 2021 in June, we went out to bid in 2021 in June, and then the project took about 2 years for construction from August 22nd, August 2022 to October 2024, so it took about 2 years for construction. The grants were all closed out this year. All the project was closed out. Project's functioning perfectly. There's been no issues, no changes, no modifications needed. If you remember, the next slide, the summary of what the project was is 69 properties in the project area. Those are shown on the green on this map. 27 commercial properties and 42 residential properties. The project consisted of 8,700 linear feet of gravity sewer. It's almost 2 miles of gravity sewer. 4,200 linear feet of a force main, about just under a mile of force main, and 1 municipal pump station. Next slide. This is the slide I like the most in the presentation. Because it kind of summarizes the project a little bit. If you remember, in town meeting, we had a construction cost estimate of $7.3 million. We asked for an article for 7.5, just in case there was any unforeseen situations. When we actually did a competitive bid process, the actual bid came in at $6.2 million, which was $1.1 million less than what the construction estimate is, because we did a competitive bid process. At that time at town meeting, we ran numbers on betterments and things like that, assuming $1.5 million in grants, a Mass Works grant, because we felt strongly we could get a Mass Works grant in that range. In actuality, with a lot of hard work, and I can say this has probably taken the most effort of any project we've worked on, I think. And I do keep my hair short because the gray hairs on my head came from this project, I think. So, I know, nobody likes the Mark jokes, I get it. So,
I thought you might make a joke about adding just for men to our to your budget or something.
I'm just going to stay on track here, okay? So the total actual grants received to date, we actually got a Mass Works grant for $2.5 million. So the Mass Works grant was $1 million over what we told town meeting we could get. A federal EDA grant we applied for got $350,000. And then ARPA funds were able to get $1.1 million in ARPA funds that we could allocate to the project. So in total, we got approximately $4 million in grants, and we estimated 1.5. If you take the total project cost of 6.2, you subtract the $4 million in grants, you get $2.25 million net project cost for the town. All right, so that's $2.25 million net project cost to the town, and the construction cost estimate that we went to town meeting was $7.3 million.
You mind if I just stop you, because I want to make sure I heard that correctly?
Yeah.
That the article itself was for the full 7.3 million, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was actually 7.5 because we just rounded up for unforeseen situations.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Did everybody get that last information? All right. All right. So there were many people did not believe we could get a lot of grants for this project. So we're proud personally, because we put the work in to get them, that we got those grants. The sewer connections. We're going to hand this slide, the next couple slides over to Craig. Use the master behind the scenes on the sewer connection policy and things of that nature.
Thanks, Mark. So a little over a year ago, we were able to go live with a gravity portion of the sewer project and actually implemented activating the rest of the system somewhere around July a year ago. Since that time, we've had, I think, a lot of activity with connections. In total, we've had 17 properties tie into the sewer. That's 127 equivalent units. So just backing up a little bit, we based our betterments on an equivalent unit, right, which is 330 gallons per day for a residential property. We extrapolate that out into commercial development flows. So for instance, a warehouse that produces, 50,000 gallons a day, say. Nobody does that, but that's a big number. That would be X number of equivalent units. So we would divide that by 330 and get their particular number of equivalent units. So at current state, we have about 127 equivalent units. We projected that the project would have 235 equivalent units. So we are somewhere around half of that flow is already going into the system. We're really happy with how much has been tied in. Currently, we're looking at about 40,000 gallons per day going into the system, and that equates to an annual sewer charge, and this is approximated because these are based on Title V design flows, not actual flows, but that's approximately $185,000 per year in sewer use charges based on the current sewer rates. The next slide has a list of the properties that have actually tied in. You can see there's 9 residential properties and 8 commercial properties. And the 15 total units that are within the project area, it's about 25% of the parcels have tied in. Next slide.
All right, I'll continue with the next slide. Next slide's revenue analysis. Just a summary of what we've collected for revenue. And again, the system's only been online for a year, technically. So this would be over that year. For building permits and application fees, we got $138,000 in revenue from that. New growth, personal property, we've gotten about $86,000 for that, and that's most of that's allocated to that Schumann Avenue project that we had the TIF for. And then sewer revenue, Craig just mentioned, is $186,000 per year, approximated on Title V flows. When we did the presentation to town meeting, by the end of year 2, we projected the revenue to be $149,000 per year, and we're at $186,000 per year the first year. So just to put that in perspective. We also, as part of our betterment policy that we got approved, and too bad Scott Carrera is not here tonight. This kind of came from him. He's like, well, what happens if somebody wants to tie in to our sewer project that's outside the project area? They shouldn't just get a free tie-in like everybody else is paying a betterment based on this policy we have. So we talked around, we got town council involved, and it's actually pretty common to implement things called privilege fees, which is a betterment. It's calculated exactly like a betterment, but they call it a privilege fee. It allows you to tie into the project area. So there's been 2 big ones, and these are important ones because one is the Chateau Restaurant, which would have literally went out of business because they could not fit the septic system the size they needed on their property, and if they did, they would have lost half their parking spaces. We received $90,000 in a privilege fee for them, and currently in the same situation, this other facility, the rehab facility, Blue Hills. They are pending. They've done all the design plans. They're ready to connect, but they haven't come in for the connection just yet. But that will be a $154,000 privilege fee. And again, their whole septic system's underneath their parking lot. And if you were to rebuild that septic system, you're talking like over a $500,000 septic system with a wastewater treatment plant. So they could possibly go out of business by just building a septic system, but by doing the sewer connection, they're able to keep that facility open. So those are two, when we were presenting this to town meeting, we were throwing general examples that this is what could happen, and this is proof that it's happening. So. Again, the next slide is the sewer connection policy. Just to do a quick recap of what that was. Craig, can you handle that?
Right, so the sewer connection policy, just to recap why people are tying in at this point in time. So I think it was a lot of forethought on part of the board in approving this policy. We were trying to encourage as many people to tie in as quickly as possible, get the system activated, right? We're building a pump station. We want to make sure that that has adequate flow to run efficiently. We don't want a lot of sewage sitting in the wet well, getting stagnant. It's really bad for pumps and things. So to avoid that sort of situation, we had a policy approved that was encouraging connection early on. So for commercial properties, if a commercial property would connect into the system within the first year of activation, we would waive the permit fee, the I&I fee. Those would be waived, which would save property owners a significant amount of money. And a lot of properties, as you can see, the 9 commercial properties took advantage of that. They are required to tie into the system within 3 years. So if you miss that first year window, within the next 2 years, they are required to be connected. And I think if they do not connect, then we can start charging them fees as if they are connected. So that's the way the policy was written. For the residential properties, it's a little more leeway, right? We wanted to give homeowners a little more flexibility. Their fees are waived for the first 3 years after activation, and then they are required to connect within 10 years. If you read through the chart there's a few exceptions and ways that you can get overrides, but that's basically the connection policy in a nutshell. Okay. The next slide is about the betterment policy. I handed out the actual code that was approved, but this chart sort of summarizes it. It just tells you how we are going to assess a particular value to each user. And as I stated before, we base that, our equivalent unit is based on a single-family residential use, which is a 3-bedroom dwelling, so 330 gallons per day based on Title V. And that number is, we did a Title V calculation for every property within the project area to determine their Title V flow, and then divided that by one equivalent unit to get their equivalent units. And then their fees are based upon how many equivalent units they are contributing to the system.
All right, the next slide, I'll pick it up. Next slide just summarizes what a betterment, an average betterment would be for a single-family 3-bedroom house, which would be the basis for an equivalent unit. In 2020, what we presented to the town meeting and to your board was with a $7.3 million project cost, assuming a 25% betterment and $2 million in grants. The betterment would have been $5,930. With what we explained to you in the presentation, with the $4 million in grants, if the betterment was paid up front, which is the true betterment, it's $2,398 compared to the $5,930. So the betterment with the grants that we received is $2,398. If you finance that over 20 years, obviously interest occurs, and that's $3,627. So even if you financed it over 20 years, the betterment's $3,627 compared to the $5,930. And again, that's just a summary of what a single-family, three-bedroom house would be for a betterment, and that's one equivalent unit. The process for voting betterments, you need the select board to approve the issuance of the betterments using the uniform unit method, which we just explained to you. Per GL 8215C, upon local acceptance, the town may access and collect interest on an unpaid balance of a sewer betterment at a rate of 2% above the net interest rate chargeable to the chargeable 2% above what the town borrows for the project. So if the town borrowed for 3.9% like this project was, you could charge an interest rate of 5.9 if you chose to. In your betterment policy, we specifically call out a 5% betterment interest rate, and that's what we used in this project, so it's a 5%. So still, it's above the 3.9, but 5% is the standard. The last slide is the motion that we had. Again, all the information in front of you got reviewed by our town council, vetted by our town council. The motion at the end, if you choose to read the motion, has been reviewed by town council, and that's exactly what should be read on the record. We'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them. That's it.
Thanks. So the motion that you need is this last slide, correct? Okay. Yep. Before we get to that, I'll just see if anybody has any questions or comments they'd like to make. Mr. McCrisky, do you have any? Oh. Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have one question on page 10 under the betterment costs. So I understand that the betterment is the net total cost times the rate. In this case, it said it assumes 25%. Is that 25% in our betterment policy?
So it's a fantastic question. In the betterment policy, it allows you to go from 0% to 100% issuing a betterment. That's the standard for your betterment policy. On your May 19th meeting in 2020, the select board voted a 25% betterment. So what that means is 25% of the net project cost gets allocated for your betterment calculations to the property owners. The other 75% is picked up by the town. The reasoning behind that was because this project was a unique sewer project where it had economic development potential, which we just explained to you. A lot of that has already happened. So there's going to be added revenue from sewer revenue, water revenue, more taxes. We just explained to you about the TIF and things like that. All that's going to benefit the entire town. So that at the time, that was the selectmen's basis for saying the town will pay 75%, and 25% of the betterment will get issued to the property owners.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having that posted on the Select Board's website, too, for all to see.
No problem.
Thank you.
Mr. Gito, do you have any comments or questions?
Only comment is congratulations. You guys did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Getting that to happen, and kudos to Mr. Carrara as well in terms of finding a way to get other people into the system, and for the town to get the resources to deal with that from that, because those two facilities are very important to the town.
Totally agree. And thank you to town meeting, too, for having the faith in us to move forward with this.
So there's a couple things I'd like to go over. The financial summary is the one that really sticks with me. And I you kind of went over it, and I will highlight it a little bit, but I really think, like, we got to emphasize this and really pull it out here. The original project, which town meeting for, we requested $7.5 million. And you came in 17% under budget, 17% under budget, saving the town $1.3 million. You then were able to pull together $3,950,000, $3.95 million in grants. So that's a total savings to the taxpayers of $5,250,000. And so, you know, I can't, like, I cannot, I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around this. This is such a well-managed project, and it was so thoughtfully done, and so respectful of the needs of the community and the means of the community, at the same time that this is getting, on top of it, is going to transform a side of our town in very positive ways for everyone. Restaurants like Chateau we would have lost. But there's a lot of other things that we have warehouses down that way that could do very little economically, that now can do a lot, can do a whole lot, and this is going to take a huge burden off of the residential taxpayers. I often mention this project when people ask about like the types of things that we have done to better this town. It's just such a wonderful project, and I'm really grateful to you both for just keeping it going and making it happen. I know the first time it went in front of town meeting, I think it was either pulled or didn't pass. I can't remember the exact details, but I do recall. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Tisdale, that you still felt like this was really going to be a winning project for us. And so I know you went through all the videos and all of the notes you had to see where their sticking points were. Yep. And you tried to find a way through it, not just because it's a project you wanted, but because you saw the value, long-term value for the town. So I just really want to say you guys have done an absolutely amazing job. And I can't thank you enough for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words.
You're very good at taking compliments. Yeah, you're okay.
You got two engineers sitting up here, right?
The motion,
Yes. We can, but I think that it's important to really emphasize how valuable this was. So the motion that the town council has provided to us is the following. I'm not making this motion, but I'm going to read it out loud. I move that the board adopt the order of assessment of betterments for the sewer line improvements, as set forth in the form prepared by town council relative to construction of the Park Street Campanelli Industrial Park Sewer Expansion Project Phase 1 for placement of sewers in the ways set forth therein, and further that said betterment assessments shall be levied using the uniform unit method pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 83, Section 15, at the interest rate permitted under General Law 82, Section 15C, and to authorize town council to make any clerical changes as may be necessary and appropriate prior to record. And further, that appropriate town staff be authorized and instructed to take any further actions necessary to effectuate said order. So is there...
second?
Okay, so the motion was made by Mr. Gito, seconded by Vice Chair Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is unanimous.
Thank you very much. I really mean that. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, so the last order of business before we get to the consent agenda is to consider parking restrictions on Bradford Street. Speaking to us on this matter is Deputy Chief O'Connor. It's wonderful seeing you. Thank you so much for coming to visit us this evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having me again. So this issue came to light last year, and to be honest with you, something happened that it never got processed. And Officer Bond had brought it to my attention. Again, for this year, I went down, same thing, checked it out, and Bradford Street from Blackstone, maybe a little after Blackstone, down to the access to the Gibbons School is kind of a disaster, especially at dismissal time. And talking with Principal Gulia, parents start lining up 2 hours before school even gets out. And as you could see from the pictures, which these pictures were from winter time, but it's still the same regardless. People are parked on both sides of the street. People are parking in the wrong direction. People are waiting in their cars while their kids walk down the sidewalk and then bolt across the street. And then you have people as well trying to make U-turns in that area. And it becomes very chaotic, very dangerous, and very lucky that no one, never mind a child, has actually gotten struck down there. So to help clean up the area, I recommended to use the signs that we use around, especially the high school and middle school area, which would be a no parking regulation from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. It covers all the school hours on school days only. And it would be on the non-sidewalk sign of Bradford Street. And it would go from the property line where the Gibbons and the street meet, and it's about 415 feet down Bradford to basically the, I think I may have wrote first driveway, but it's technically the second driveway down that road, because there's a house right there, right on the border of the school and the street. And I think by forcing everyone to be on one side of the road near the school and being on the sidewalk side allows, one, safety for the kids to walk down the sidewalk and get to their cars, and it prevents the kids from bolting out from the sidewalk behind cars across the street where other parents are driving up into the given school. It will also keep it wide enough for the rare occasion that emergency vehicles may have to get through there for whatever the reason may be. And then if approved by you as the board, we'll notify Public Works as soon as possible to get them up. I've already spoken to Mr. Goulier. I told him I will let him know tomorrow whether you guys approved it or not, and he'll start sending emails out to his parents letting them know that this is coming. And then once it's installed, we'll get our area car to go down there and conduct whatever enforcement and education is necessary to prevent this from being an ongoing issue. So, any questions for me?
Yeah, before I send it over to the board, I will just mention the recommendation here is to have no parking from 8 to 4 on school days. The sign you provided, I think, is for the high school, and that says 7 to 4.
Yeah, so 8 would suffice. 8 a.m. would suffice.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Gito?
Well, but the question is, will the cars, when they're not double parked or parked on either side, will they go all the way down to Lother Street, or will they?
They very well may.
Okay.
They very well may. But that's, as long as they're on one side and not parked in every direction and maybe 2 feet from the curb, that would be okay. It's going
It's
to
a
make.
long walk, but it's a heck of a lot better.
I was
right?
going to say it's a little bit more of a walk for some people, but much safer nonetheless.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Roberts.
Thank you. I also agree that this is a great idea, and I had the same question that you had, Mr. Chairman, about that time. The recommendation said 8 to 4, but the sign presented was 7 a.m., but Deputy Chief answered that question, so I'm good.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCrisky. No questions? I have no further questions, and I thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the request, the recommendation of the deputy chief the recommendation is to make Bradford Street on the southeast side from the Gibbon School to the driveway of 78 Bradford Street. No parking from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on school days. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Please share the good news.
I will. Thank you for your continued support. I appreciate it. Have a great evening.
Thank you. The last item that we have on the agenda tonight is our consent agenda. There's 3 items. The first, the approval of open session minutes, meeting of August 19th, 2025. Item B, application for license for the Holiday Parade of Lights on December 13th, 2025, presented by the Stoughton Recreation Department. And item C, application for the Veterans Day Parade on November 11th, 2025, as requested by the Stoughton Veterans Services. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
I'll pull,
Go ahead.
Mr. G. Oh.
So
I would
there's a
like to pull a couple of items, please. So one is 9A, and it is 9B, and then, so all 3.
Okay, so we'll do these one at a time.
Thank you.
So item A, the approval of open session minutes. Is there a motion?
That was pulled, A was pulled, Mr. Chairman. 9A?
Yes, so that is the approval of open session minutes.
Yes.
So it was pulled, so we've got to make a motion, somebody's got to vote on something. If someone makes a motion to make a change.
Oh,
and approve
motion
the
to make a
that's
change.
fine. But someone's got to make some motion here.
I would like to add a sentence after, on page 4 of the minutes. Right after McCrisky's motion for a 3-day suspension, to include a sentence that says, Mr. Gito said, I believe the town only inspects once a year and the state only inspects once a year.
Okay.
So within 2 years, there are 4 inspections, and the owner failed 3 of those inspections.
Okay, so there's a motion to make that following amendment to the minutes. Is there a second?
I have a friendly amendment to that amendment.
What I said?
Yes. And I would, I don't know if Gilda or Dolores listened to the recording, but Mr. McCrisky made the motion, and Mr. Gito asked for a friendly amendment. The friendly amendment was declined, so it went back to the original motion that Mr. McCrisky made. So I think that that's the intent of my comments and my recollection. So I would like, after it says Mr. McCrisky made the motion and it says Chair Cavey seconded the motion, I would like to amend the minutes to say Mr. Gito believes the town only inspects once a year and the state only inspects once a year. So within 2 years, there are 4 inspections, and the owner failed 3 of those inspections. Mr. Gito made a friendly amendment to oppose a consecutive 7-day suspension. Mr. McCrisky did not accept that amendment. And that was the change that I had.
Okay. Mr. Gito, do you accept that friendly amendment?
I do, because it includes what I had said. And the rest of that is absolutely correct.
Okay, so the first vote we're going to take is a motion to amend the minutes. Motion was made by Mr. Gito, and
Or, no.
Second?
seconded by Ms. Roberts, by Vice Chair Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great, so now the minutes are amended. Can we vote to accept the minutes?
So made.
Second.
Okay, motion was made to accept the minutes by Ms. Roberts, seconded by Mr. Gito. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Okay, so the next item is, this is for the application for holiday parade of lights.
So, Mr. Chairman, the reason I wanted to pull this item is to make sure we included the wording from Deputy Chief O'Connor regarding, they said they have no objection, but regarding the staffing level, and that they are going to work with the Department of Public Works for the use of closures and street blockades in order to safely coordinate this event. That's the reason I wanted it pulled.
So I understand that as a motion to approve the license with the stipulation that the Recreation Department follow the Police Department's recommendations.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
So you made the motion. So
Second.
seconded by Mr. Gito. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so we're good there. And then the last item is an application for Veterans Day Parade, November 11th, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved. To approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Motion was made by Mr. Gito, seconded by Vice Chair Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is unanimous as well. And then that is all of the business for this evening. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Okay, made by Vice Chair Roberts, seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The time is 9:10 p.m. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening.